Hey, this is Gimme D's on Cars.
Hey everybody, this is Dan for Game D on Cars, and I am here on an awfully rainy and gross November Sunday, but I got a nice car to look at today. What we have today is a 2009 Lexus IS250. Now the Mazda is in the shop getting an oil change, so I borrowed a car from my parents. This is my parents' car. My dad actually bought this car the day after I got my Mazda 6. Go see my 1-year Mazda review when I talked about that, but this car is a 2.5 liter V6 with 204 horsepower. Now, this car, I've driven it for about 30 seconds so far. It's very nice, but you can kind of tell that it's kind of like a generation ago. Now, a 2009, that's what, 8 years ago, and a couple things that are showing its age, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid car. Now, you could also get this car in a 3.5 liter V6 with 300 horsepower. So a car this small with 306 horsepower, I'm sure would go like hell. They also had a 5 liter V8 for this car, an ISF. That was released in the United States in 2008, so 416 horsepower out of a car this small, I'm sure would be awesome. Now that's the one thing that makes me feel like this car is like a generation old. It's just a small car. I feel like a Toyota Corolla would be like the size of this car, but this is finished in a beautiful Matador red mica. It's absolutely beautiful red, and I can't really show you how nice the red is in this awful weather, but it's a beautiful red. My dad is very big on detailing cars, and he said this is one of the nicest reds that he's ever had. Now this car was refreshed for 2009, and in 2009 you got the different looking tail lights right here. Before they didn't look like that at all. But it's a mid-size luxury car. Now the thing about Lexus is they're known for luxury, so I want to see how comfortable it is on the road. I'm going to go on a short trip on the highway just to see what it's like. But I think the looks and the styling look pretty well for being 8 years old. I mean, this car is way before you had the Predator grills of the Lexus, which are kind of, I guess you could say, controversial. I don't even know how I feel about them. It's kind of different, and I appreciate that for being different, but I don't know. It's not for everybody. So let's take a look on the inside. Alright, so here we are on the inside. Now this car is an automatic, but it has the paddle shifters. These nice looking silver paddle shifters. They got a nice feel to them. You've got this trademark Lexus wood. I mean, this car reminds me on the interior like a scaled down like Lexus LS400. It just looks exactly like they did. You've got the buttons on the side like every other Lexus. You got the nice, I like this silver trim here, going on alongside of the wood. One cool thing about this car, let me start it up. They've got the typical Toyota start button. Now one cool thing that I haven't seen in a car yet, and that this car has, is there's a button right here that's called shade. Now if you press this button, as I press the button, look behind me. The shade goes up in the back. That's so cool. I mean, I feel like it's sort of like a trickle-down accessory that like a Lexus LS or something would have, but if you press the button, that's pretty cool. I honestly don't know of any other cars that have that feature. These seats are absolutely glorious. I mean, they're very comfortable. You can see the Lexus paid attention to the materials, and it's just a beautiful perforated leather. Now the other funny thing about this car is it's a 2009, but it only has 45,000 miles, which is literally nothing. My freaking Mazda is a 2016, and I already have 40,000 miles. I mean, it's crazy. I drive so much for work, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, it's small back here, but that's okay. I mean, my parents, you know, my sister and I are growing out of the house. They don't really need the back seats, just for my daughter and her car seat. But yeah, that's the one thing that you can tell of this cars of this generation. They were just smaller. I mean, everything nowadays suffers what they call model bloat, which isn't just Kate Upton after she eats a cheeseburger. It's just every car model is getting bigger. And I don't know if it's because of us fat Americans, you know, spoiler for everybody else. Like, all these European cars are so much smaller on the inside. I'm sure like a Lexus IS nowadays would be way bigger than this car. I mean, I guess it's just a trend in the car industry that cars are getting bigger. But I mean, look, I got nothing. Yeah, my knees are right up on the thing, and I guess this is where I had the seat for me. Let's take it for a ride on the road. One last thing I wanted to mention about the interior of the car. This car, way back in 2008, had heated and cooled seats. That's pretty cool. I honestly don't know of any other cars that had the cooled seats back in 2008, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so we're just taking off in the Lexus. I'm gonna leave it in normal D. I'm gonna put it in sport mode in a little bit. I just want to see how the car shifts and rides, not in the sport mode, you know, not using the shift pedals. But like I said before, these seats are so comfortable. I mean, so nice. The other thing you can tell this car is kind of from a previous generation is that it's a 2.5 liter V6. And I think after that, car makers realized that you could do smaller displacement engines with, you know, turbocharging them. So it's kind of a small engine for being a V6, but still decent on power. I mean, if it was my money, I probably would have tried to get the 3.5 liter V6 with like 300 horsepower, but this will definitely do. The handling is pretty nice. I'm going around a corner here. It seems very, very compliant, very planted. I think this would be a perfect car for somebody who's like in college or even like a high school kid, because you have the Lexus, you know, Toyota reliability. I mean, this car will go on forever. Plus, you got the good looks. It's so comfortable. I mean, you can't take for granted how comfortable a car is when you buy them, because you're going to be living in the thing the whole time you're driving it. Alright, I'm going to go get on the highway. We're going to put it in sport. And we're going to try out the paddle shifters and see what that's like. Going to give her a nice little rep on the highway, see how she feels. Try at least. That was decent pickup. I feel like since I drove Alex's GTI, I keep thinking that cars are shifting slowly, but since he had that dual clutch, everything compared to that is slow. So the car shifts fine. It's no GTI, but it's definitely nice. One thing that I'm not that crazy about, it does not go back to first gear for you. Like, I just got off the exit and I'm in second gear. It stays in second, so you got to hit the 1. I feel like maybe another thing about more newer cars, the transmissions automatically go back to first gear for them, so that's fine. Another thing that's just showing its age. It's alright. Alright, I'm gonna give her one last beans. The sound is pretty decent. I mean, we know that Lexus knows how to make a good sounding car because they make the LFA, which is probably the greatest sounding car ever, with a V10. I'll show you a clip right now. But yeah, that sounds decent for a V6. Not bad. This car may be a 2009, but it doesn't feel behind the times as far as the road comfort. It's quiet. It's very quiet. I mean, that might have something to do with stuff that my dad has done to this car, but it is super quiet. So that's a credit to Lexus there and my dad. I mean, this car's not going to handle like a 911, but it's decent. It's acceptable. The ride is nice. Comfortable, like I've said many times. Decent power, good looks. I mean, say what you will about the Lexus Predator grills, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, overall, I think this is a nice little car. If I was in college, or if I was just starting, you know, work, I would consider a car like this. I mean, even the newer ISs are very good looking cars, I think. But I think when my dad got this car, it was too good to pass up. So yeah, I'm impressed. The build quality is decent. I don't see any panel gaps. The quality of the materials is good. The seats are glorious. That perforated leather. But yeah, this is nice. I would give this car the Gimme D on Cars stamp of approval. Now, if my cousin, this Prius, would get the hell out of the way. Now, if you're new to the channel, I like to do car reviews. I do videos on my car, which is a Mazda 6. I like to go to car shows. I like to mix it up. I like to get a little bit of everything. You know, when I come up with ideas to create content, I try to think of cars that I haven't seen before or I haven't really driven. I mean, I've never driven a Lexus of this generation, so I like to mix it up. I don't like to stay on one thing for too long. If you're new to the channel, also, I've got a lot of cool things coming up, hopefully by the end of the year. I became friendly with a guy on Instagram whose name is 3 Slow 3 Furious, who he has a right-hand drive Nissan Silvia that has been imported from Japan, and I'm going to go take a look at that. I may be lined up to drive a neighbor's BMW M3, which I am beyond excited for. It's one of my dream cars. His wife also has a BMW X5 e-drive, the hybrid. I might take a look at that. And also I have a friend who talked to somebody who has a 911 Carrera GTS. So lots of good stuff coming, so stay tuned. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is the first time you're here, please like and browse the channel. Check out all the things I got, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya.